In loving memory of the lost dogs, gone but never forgotten. Run free. The lost dogs they're referring to are the same dogs that this book is referring to. The lost dogs, Michael Vick's dogs, and their tale of rescue and redemption. I'm going to go ahead, read a few paragraphs from this book so you have a better idea of what went down here. Page 1. A brown dog sits in a field. There's a collar around her neck. It's 3 inches thick and attached to a heavy chain, which clips onto a car axle that's buried so one end sticks out of the ground. As the dog paces in the heat, the axle spins, ensuring that the rattling chain won't become entangled. The dog paces a lot, wearing a circle in the scrubby weeds and sandy soil around the perimeter of the axle. She paces because there's little else to do. Sometimes a squirrel or a rabbit or a snake crosses nearby and she barks and chases it. Or she lunges and leaps after the dragonflies and butterflies that zip and flutter past. She flicks her tail at mosquitoes and buries her muzzle in fur, chewing at the itchy, crawly things that land on her. If she's lucky, she digs up a rock that she can bat around and chew on. But otherwise, there are just the weeds and the bugs and the hot sun inching across the sky. She is not alone. Other dogs are spread around this clearing in the trees. They can see one another, hear one another, bark and whine and growl, but they can't get to one another. They can't run, they can't play, they can't anything. They can get close to their immediate neighbors, stand almost face to face, but they can never touch. A planned positioning meant to frustrate and enrage them. For some it does. For many, it simply makes them sad. To help fight the heat, there's water spread about in large tubs. Sometimes a little dirty, but drinkable. Once a day, a man comes to put food in the bowls. At least it's usually once a day. Sometimes 2 or 3 days go by before the sound of his all-terrain vehicle breaks the monotony. As he gets off the vehicle and makes his way across the clearing, all the dogs run to the end of their chains, barking and wagging their tails as if they're excited to see him. But when the man actually gets close to them, they tuck their tails and sulk away. Only after he has moved on do they creep back over to their bowls and eat. They can't see anything beyond the perimeter of the clearing, but they are not alone. Another clearing lies through the trees where another 15 or so dogs live on chains. And beyond that, at the edge of the woods, is a small compound with kennels, freestanding pens, and 4 sheds. The buildings are small and painted pitch black, including the windows. One is 2 stories tall, and the men who own these sheds, who live and work here, they call that one the black hole. So we're gonna go see what the black hole is. This used to be that field that they're referring to, but now it's referred to as Freedom Field, and as you can see, they planted trees for all of the dogs, in memory of the dogs that were here. And now this is a place where dogs that are attached to the rescue that's here can run around, play, and be free. No more chains. All right, I'll see you at the black hole. The red dog pulls hard against the leash, straining to rush up the path and see what lies ahead. It is the first time she has been out of the clearing, off her chain and axle, in weeks. She's nervous though, too, and regularly looks up at the man holding her, trying to read some sign of what he has in mind. She sniffs the air for a hint, intermittently wagging and holding her tail down. They emerge from the trees into a compound of kennels and small black buildings. Those lie ahead. The dogs in the kennels are over there to the left, begin to bark, rushing forward to press their faces against the chain link as she goes by. Her tail and ears droop as if they're being blown flat by the force of the barking. But she hasn't eaten in 3 days, and her hunger drives her forward. She can smell food and hopes that she will be getting some. The man steers her towards the biggest shed, the 2-story one, the black hole. As they step inside, the door swings closed behind them, and the sound of the barking becomes more distant, then dies down altogether. The man grabs a small rope that hangs from the ceiling in the corner of the room. He pulls it, and with a loud squeak, a staircase descends from above. We're going to make our way to the black hole now. At the top, he flips a switch and bright lights flood into a small open room with a square of carpet in the center, maybe 16 feet by 16 feet. The carpet is a light color, a sort of off-white. and there are dark blotches on it. It's not attached to the floor, and the edges curl up a little. For the little red dog, the smells are overwhelming. There have been many people here, many dogs. The remnants of sweat and blood and urine and fear mix in the air, and the dog's insides churn with anxiety and concern. Go ahead. We'll continue the story once we make our way into the black hole. Now they use it for storage now, so you can see some bicycles and lawnmower equipment. Here's the staircase he was referring to. And we're about to make our way up, I guess, to the fighting arena. What you call it? As you can see, there's some pieces of floor missing because the police officers had to remove it because it contained blood evidence for their investigation. All right, back to the book. Is there a light switch over here? Outlet. I'll be right back. Found the light switches. Back to the book. She hears barking outside the shed, and in a moment there are noises downstairs. Another man emerges from the staircase carrying another dog. The red dog does not recognize this dog, but like her, it's a female, and it's about 18 months old. The man puts the red dog onto the carpet, and the other dog is placed on the carpet opposite her. Both dogs sniff the air. The red dog licks her snout and sniffs her weight, and shifts her weight from side to side. Instinctively, they are drawn toward each other, but the men get in between them. The one who brought the red dog up from the clearing stands over her, clapping and yelling, "Let's go, let's go, let's go!" The two other men have come up the stairs and they're standing around the carpet. They begin to shout as well. The man puts his hands on the red dog's face and shoves her backwards. She comes back towards him, and he does it again. He grabs her by the muzzle and shakes her face from side to side. The red dog remembers all the days she spent chained in the clearing, face to face with other dogs that she could not quite get to. Frustration and fear and anger and the instinctive need to defend her territory begin to stir within her. Her stomach turns with anger. Her stomach turns with hunger. The men's voices mix with the riot of smells. The dogs outside begin to bark again. So imagine they're starving. There's a ton of barking, a ton of men yelling, just chaos. This dog that you don't know right in front of you, and the guys are trying to get you to fight her. It's crazy. The other dog lets out a low growl, her own fear and aggression surging. The leashes go tight as the men back off, and the dogs begin to pull toward each other. The little red dog lets out a strong bark that echoes off the plywood walls. Feeling it? Skips a few pages before returning back to this story. So here we go. Back on the second floor of the black shed, the little red dog rushes across the pit. The other dog charges towards her. They're on a collision course with each other, and a battle that can only end with teeth and blood and pain. It's only a few steps across the ring, but at the last minute, each dog veers to the side so they don't quite meet nose to nose. Instead, they circle to the right, keeping an eye on each other and passing so close that they bump. The other dog rears up and puts her paws on the red dog, who recoils momentarily, then lurches forward. They continue circling, but gradually slow until they've almost stopped. Shoulder to shoulder, heads turned toward each other, sniffing. The red dog feels something pull at her neck, and suddenly she's being propelled backward across the rectangle. The man with the leash is yelling at the red dog, and her tail drops. To determine which of the dogs have the right stuff, fighters regularly test or roll the dogs, putting them in brief matches to see which have the instincts and aggression to succeed. This little red dog is being rolled, and it's not going well. She doesn't want to fight. Instead of facing them off across the pit, the men now place the dogs face to face and hold them there. The dogs bark and struggle, but the men keep forcing them together. Soon the frustration and anger and proximity do their job, and the dogs begin biting at each other. The dogs rise up on their hind legs, and their front legs tangle in the air, and their teeth tear at flesh. The other dog is a little taller, so she gets her head on top of the red dog and nips at the red dog's ears and clamps down with her mouth on the back of the red dog's neck. The red dog's front legs fall back to the ground, and she snaps at the other dog's foreleg. The two of them tumble to the ground. They bounce up and dance around each other, snapping and bounding and rolling across the carpet. The men have gone silent. They are unimpressed. Neither dog has shown any real aggression or skill. The red dog is carried halfway down the steps and then tossed to the ground. The other dog is not as lucky. She is tossed from the top of the stairs, from this stairs right here, landing with an awkward sound. She's tossed from the top of the stairs and rattles down the steps, landing with an awkward sound. She lets out a squeal and hops up, but will only walk on 3 legs. One of the men hoses the dogs off and puts them into empty kennels. There's still no food or water. The red dog paces in a small circle, then lies down. Every 5 or 10 minutes, the men bring a few dogs out of the shed and a few more in. So we're going to go ahead and finish up this outside. Before long, 9 dogs sit in the kennels around the red dog or stand tied to trees in the compound. Some of them have puncture wounds on their snouts or forelegs, and they lick at the blood and whine. It should not be surprising that so many of them seem to have failed. One experienced law officer estimates that 80% of the dogs, even those raised in a professional fighting operation, won't even scratch. That is, they won't even cross the line and engage the other dog. Dogmen don't have much use for dogs that won't fight. They don't show that instinctive prerogative to go after any other dog they meet. Such dogs represent lost income. It costs a lot to feed and house them, and so these dogs are usually eliminated. The bad news men emerge from the shed and stand talking. The red dog and the other dogs wait in the shadows. 2 of the men pull coveralls on over their clothes. One of them retrieves an old nylon leash and a 5-gallon bucket out of the shed. He fills the bucket with water. The red dog sniffs the air. The smell of food sitting across the compound is stronger than ever, and she whimpers for something to eat. But the men won't even look at her or the other dogs. They move quickly and keep to themselves. The red dog can sense the tension in the air, and the anxiety spreads among all the dogs, which alternately sit and pace. A few pull on their leashes and let out little half howls of protest. One of the men comes towards the dogs. He grabs one that had been in the rectangle with the red dog and fastens the old nylon leash around her neck. Grab this. I think these are the trees. I'm not sure. It could be any trees there. He picks her up and carries her over to 2 trees that stand next to the 2-story shed. The other man ties the leash to a 2x4 that has been nailed between the trees. Once the leash is secure, the first man boosts the dog a little further up and lets go. Damn. For a moment, the dog lifts upward, her back arching as her legs paddle the air. Her head spins as she looks for the ground. Then her upward momentum peers out and she begins downward. 40 pounds of muscle and bone accelerate toward the earth. The rope pulls. The dog's head jolts to the side, and with a single yelp, she is dead. The other dogs in the yard spring to their feet. The ones that had been brought up from the clearing that morning, the ones that live in the kennels, the ones inside the shed, they bark and howl and run back and forth, pulling at their leashes or bouncing off the walls of their enclosures. Even as they do, the other man approaches a second dog, one that had been injured, that now lies meekly on the ground. He carries him to the bucket and then holds his back legs in the air. One of the other men takes the dog or scruff off the neck. One of the other men takes the dog by the scruff of the neck and plunges his head into the water. The dog shakes and flails, splashing water out of the bucket, but he is unable to shake free, and within a few minutes, his body goes limp. He's tossed into a wheelbarrow. In all, 4 dogs get the bucket, and 4 dogs get the leash. Although not all of them are as lucky as the first dog. Some of them swing from the rope, gasping and shaking, eyes bulging, blood trickling from the corners of their mouths as they slowly strangle. Even when they are finally cut down, they are not quite dead, so they too have their heads stuck into the bucket. Still, this is not the worst of it. This is not what happened to the red dog. If you want to find out what happened to the red dog, you're going to have to read the book. Alright, so that's a little description of what used to go down here with Bad News Kennels. A lot of men, or these men, put in a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of resources into getting this operation up and running, and maintaining it. I know it's sad, but inside that house over there, there's a group of people that invest even more time, energy, and resources to make sure that they're helping dogs instead of harming them. So I'm showing you this so that you know that this is real and you see what people are capable of. So it's kind of dark, but here are some kennels where they would keep some of the dogs. Let's see if I can. And this is an exercise device where they would. Leave that open, please. Where they would attach a dog and just have it run around in circles, just run around. That's how they would exercise it. Run, 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 run. And up here, if I can get some light, please, you can see where it says BNK, Bad News Kennel. So that's the last thing I'll show you related to that. Now we're going to go inside. All right, we're about to head inside the house. It's owned by Dogs Deserve Better. It's a rescue organization that's dedicated to rescuing dogs that have spent their life attached to chains or pent up inside of a cage. So what they do is they rescue these dogs, they bring them to this house. These dogs don't live outside, they live inside. Most of them some of them have their own room. Some of them have, big kennels, big crates within the house. And they've just turned this whole house into like a giant dog house. So it's pretty cool. So we're just going to walk through. You'll see some of the dogs in the kennels. We're not going to really mess with them. They just ate. They're resting right now. But I'm just going to give you a tour so you can see what it looks like. And then we will hang out with a few dogs that are out, that have their own room and have a little bit more space. So here we go. And one last thing, if you do want to support these people, go to dogsdeservebetter.org. Dogsdeservebetter.org and donate, please. Cut it out. Hey. Hello. Some volunteers. Pretty good. I'm just giving them a walkthrough of the house. Yeah. This is Mr. Ralphie. What's up, buddy? This room's empty. Sorry. See, they don't like when you interrupt their nap sometimes. What's up, boys? Hey, Cinnamon. So this is Cinnamon. She's going to be spending some time with me at the Mutt Mansion next week. It's not a tour. She wants to eat it. So. I'll see you later, Mama. We're going to hang out a whole lot. He's so cute. Look at this guy. Excuse me. Don't mess with my toy. It's not a toy. You can kiss it, but you can't bite it. Are you smart? Are you smart? Oh, you're so cute. She had a chemical burn, so they think somebody maybe threw some sort of acid on her. Something that burned her, so she has a scar across her back. Oh, I love you, love you so much. You guys good? You're not struggling anymore? Alright, I'll see you later. Be good. Alright. We're gonna go visit my favorite friend. She has her own spot. Now they have to have these dividers up just for safety purposes because some of these dogs do have some behavior problems. Don't quite get along well with other dogs yet, but that's why I'm here, helping them fix that problem. There we go. All right, this is Miss Holly's room. Holly, are you dressed? Coming in. Hey, Holly. How are you? Now, she's a little skittish, but look at his life. So you know, I explained to you what those other dogs went through. Now, check out this dog. She got her own room. Oh, my God. You want to hang out with me? Mm-hmm. You're not scared of me no more? Okay, let's see if she'll jump on the bed with us. Come on, Holly. Oh, yeah. Are you my best friend? Oh, do you love me? Because I need love. I need some attention. Do you want me to read you this book? It's called The Lost Dogs. You better not be snappy with me. Come on, you nervous? It's okay. I'm nervous too sometimes. Because I don't know you like that. And you don't know me like that. So you're trying to get to know me, get used to me. And when I act all like, overwhelming and smothering, it can bother you. I understand. I'm going to try to give you some space, okay? What, you don't want space? What is this? You're telling me you want to hang out with me? Look at this baby. You're not living in a horrible situation anymore. Look at this. Shoot, can I come live with you? You need a roommate? Come on, I hope you pay rent. Alright, that's enough. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to learn more, follow the Mutt Mansion, which is me, or follow Dogs Deserve Better on Facebook. Bye. Thank you for listening to me. I love you. Mwah. Hey, mamacita. Hold on. How you doing? Wanna go outside? Oh my goodness. This is Miss Maya. She just got here, so she's in isolation. She has to be isolated from everybody because she just got here and still has to go to the vet to get her shots and get checked out. And it's Easter Sunday, so you gotta wait till tomorrow. But she has her own yard and her own room. So all new dogs basically come here first until they go to the vet, and then they get introduced to the rest of the pack. You wanna play with some toy? That's not a toy though. Hey, go ahead. Oh, I interrupted your pee-pee. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So what do you think? It's pretty awesome here, right? You can come visit anytime. You can check them out on Facebook. You can donate. You can help out. You need all the help they can get. You want to build a nice, strong team to help these dogs. If you want to be a part of that team, join us. Join us. Man, can I have some love, Mama? Can I have some love, please? gotta run circles so the people watching have to keep spinning around. Give them a workout. You're so cute. You're so cute, Mamacita. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I love you. Oh, you got a nice booty. Oh, yeah.